Okay, so here we are. We're on Diabetes Empowerment Part 2, where the purpose is to educate, inspire, and empower you to do better for yourself and to know better. What we're going to cover in Part 2 is first just kind of start with some straight talking truth, as I like to call it, review whole foods versus broken foods, go along with some helpful tips. I'm going to give you just a sample, like a suggestion of type foods to eat during a day, and then we'll wrap it up with some final thoughts. So when we mention straight talking truth, I just want to be upfront with you. I'm very upfront with all my clients that, diabetes is not something you can reverse just by making small changes. Unfortunately, it requires a commitment. It requires a big lifestyle change. So an example of that is, we talk a lot about flours and carbohydrates and, choosing a whole wheat bread and just saying, well, I'm going to still have bread, but instead of having white bread, I'm going to choose to have whole wheat bread. Or instead of having, dry cereal, I'm still going to have oatmeal and I'm going to put, my brown sugar on it and some maple syrup in it. Well, it is a change, but it is still a high glycemic change. I think it gets to a point with you just have to be sick of being sick and tired. And you have to be at a place to say, you know what? I don't want to be controlled by my blood sugar. I don't want to be made feel like food is controlling me, and I'm ready to create a new path and a new me. So that brings us to, the big question of, what the heck do I eat? And I like to start with just understanding the basics of whole food versus broken food. Think of whole food as food that's in its natural state. How God initially made it. It was whole, pure, before man got a hold of it and kind of we added our additives and our chemicals. Then it becomes more of what we call a broken food. And those would be things that you would find in boxes and bags that have several ingredients on the ingredients list. So I gave you a few examples of this, such as, instead of drinking, your fruit, as in drinking a glass of apple juice or, mango orange juice, you go for the pure whole food, which is an apple or an orange. Instead of making boxed mashed potatoes, and you go and you grab a potato and you put it in your Instapot, you steam it and you mash it up, and you have whole food potatoes. So I left some other suggestions on here as well, just to try to get your mind into thinking about how much broken food you eat during the day versus whole food, and just trying to be aware of that so you can make some changes. These are just some food suggestions that I was going to go through with you. For instance, choosing as much organic food as you can find and as you can afford. There is a tool that you could even put on your phone. It's an app. It's called Dirty Dozen, and it will tell you the most top 12 contaminated foods and what to buy organically. And so just certain things like that. Less your body has to process, the less inflammation, the better. Really increasing your vegetable intake, increasing that broccoli and cauliflower, steamed vegetables. Now, with saying the vegetables, when you do have high sugar or high glycemic situation, you do want to watch some of your starchy vegetables like sweet potato, winter squash, carrots, those type of things. Definitely still eat them. There's nothing wrong with them, but they can affect your blood sugar. Looking towards a high quality protein at every meal. This is so important because that's going to help keep your blood sugar more steady and keep it from having the peaks and the valleys. Legumes, beans, fats, unsweetened peanut butter, those type of things, once again, will keep a steady blood sugar. I like to throw in some protein powders. I think it's important. There's suggestions here like pea, rice, hemp protein powder, and make a smoothie for yourself. These are great for times when you need protein, but maybe you don't have the time to, make a big meal together, you make a smoothie in the morning and you pack it and you bring it with you for maybe your midday snack. And you could put that with almond butter, with nut butters. You can put, your greens in there, and of course your protein powder or your collagen powder, and you can get a balanced meal with a shake. Nuts and seeds, once again, some fats there, and then just watching what we're cooking with, using olive oil, coconut oil, some ghee butter, those types of things to try to decrease, once again, the inflammatory load on your body and build up the fats. More tips, fresh or frozen fruit. Some people do have, we have to watch how much fruit, especially once again, if you're struggling with a higher sugar or glucose level, because fruit does have fructose in it and it will raise your blood sugar. But berries are an excellent choice for this. Looking at whole grains, we're not talking about flour like in breads, but we're talking about grains like quinoa, brown rice, millet, buckwheat. Those are great other options to cook. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. We hear it all the time, right? And what I get a lot of times is people just say, I don't crave water. It's not something that I think I have a taste for. I just don't turn to that. Well, maybe even trying adding some fresh lemon or some fresh lime, cucumber slices. Try to change it up a little bit, but definitely watch the caffeine. I know that's just a thing that we tend to go to in our society today, but it will dehydrate you. When we go for flavorings and, seasoning our food, using fresh herbs and spices. And of course, watching sugar and our sweeteners. This includes honey, maple syrup, agave. Once again, we want to watch things that will spike our blood sugars, and we want to maintain a well-balanced sugar level. So what would an example day look like? And once again, these are just suggestions. You get up in the morning and you have to work that day. You have your cup of coffee. And then, for breakfast, you may have your eggs. You could do some scrambled eggs with sauteed greens in that. You could throw a little handful of spinach and cook it up in some ghee butter or coconut oil. Put a little bit of avocado on top. You could have a side of berries with that and some pistachios. That could start your morning. You've got a great blend of protein, fat, and carb there. Later on in the day, when you feel like you need that other cup of coffee, you should try maybe some green tea, and pair it with, once again, a fat, maybe a little bit of berries. It's going to bring you to your lunchtime and filling your food in your day with high fiber. So for instance, having that giant salad with mixed greens and, cucumber and, throw some broccoli and whatever you would like, chickpeas or different seeds. Making a homemade vinaigrette dressing. It's not hard to do with 3 or 4 ingredients. You can make it simple, keep it in the fridge. You could add top of that some, cooked chicken. You could add some salmon. And there's all kinds of ways to fix that up. But the greens and the vegetables will fill you up, will make you feel full. A protein shake. This is what I was saying. Like, let's say you eat lunch in a couple hours, you're starting to feel like, I feel like I need to eat again. This is where you could grab the shake, and it could have something in it like your protein powder, your almond milk. If you want something kind of sweet, you could add a cacao powder to it, maybe some raspberries or some strawberries, and that will help fill you up a little bit. Come dinner time, you could just roast one pan with your chicken on it with all kinds of roasted vegetables and roast it in the oven all at one time, and with a side of quinoa. Before bed, having a snack, having like something to sustain your sugar. So you maybe a fruit like an apple, but pair it with a fat, something like peanut butter or almond butter. And then maybe to wind down before bed, you have some chamomile tea or some peppermint tea. But this is just an example. This is just something to give you ideas. But this would be the type of foods, this would be the type of process the goals that you would want to get to over time to try to help regulate your blood sugar. Just some few helpful tips. I know we talked briefly in our example there on our day-to-day food, but protein is your friend. It will help curb those cravings. It will help you feel full. You need protein to really give your body the amino acids and what it needs to perform on a daily basis. Fiber, we talked about fiber briefly with the vegetables. This also includes the picture here, beans and legumes. If you can digest them well, fiber will help improve your sugar levels. And then in the first video, we talked about stress, sleep, and movement, and how those areas, once again, it's not just about food, how those areas as well can raise your blood sugar. So we want to keep in mind the whole package. Remember, this is a lifestyle change, and you're not going to do this all at one time. You would, if you were interested in something like this, and maybe it feels overwhelming, this is where someone like myself would come along. We'd hold your hand and say, let's do this step by step by step, making small changes to get to the big goal. My final thoughts on this, just to be thinking about, food is meant for fuel and energy. That's primarily what it's for. Food isn't meant to, like we say in the second bullet point, food isn't meant for comfort and to fill a void. And when we're lonely or when we're feeling stressed, food isn't meant to do that. We make it that. And I say I struggle with that as well. So we make it that. We have to have a respect for food and an understanding of what it really is. And I asked you the question, are you tired of feeling like a slave to food? Are you tired of having the low energy? Do you feel like the sugar is mastering you? Do you feel like your diet is mastering you? You can change. Like I said, it will be a journey, but it goes beyond food. It goes deeper than that. That's why a coach is so important, but it's a great beginning. It's a great time to say, yes, I'm ready for a change. And I love this verse in 1 Corinthians 6:12, because it says, I have a right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. I will not be mastered by anything. And that verse really stuck with me in a time in my life when I felt that I was really being mastered by a lot of areas in my life, food being one of them. I felt I had to cave into cravings all the time, and I just couldn't help it. And when I was stressed and different things, food was mastering me. And even the Bible talks about things that master us. So I'm here to encourage you once again, and to know that you're not alone. No one's perfect. But if you're ready to make a change, you've come to the right place. So thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. If you would like any more information about my coaching services, you can visit www.coachingupwellness.com or contact your nurse navigator. They will be able to give you some more information about our program. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.